Hello and welcome. This is TextCom English. My name is Akram. In this lesson, we are going to look at our last set of statements that contain common English errors. We will review them and then try to find out where the errors are and then the various ways in which we can resolve these errors. So now let's look at our first statement. It says that Kofi didn't come to school today. Has he? We can find that there is a verb used here, didn't, and there's another one here. This whole term is what we call the question tag, and it is the first part of the question and answer tag. So this question tag contains two parts, the statement and the tag. The statement usually ends with a full stop, and the tag ends with a question mark. So this sets the basis for the question to be asked. It's more or less like a preamble sort of statement. Yes. So Kofi didn't come to school today. Has he? The first principle in question and answer tags says that when the verb that you use here must go with the verb that you use here. So if the verb used here, in fact, under certain circumstances, there are certain verbs that could appear here but may result in a different verb here. And then there are others that could even come without a particular primary or modal auxiliary and then would demand that you use certain principles to come up with the verb to use here. We shall come to that because those ones are technical. We shall delve deeper into them when we are to treat question and answer tags into detail than I am doing here. So Kofi didn't come to school today. This verb must go with the verb here. So the verb here should not be has, it should be what? Did. So not has. So Kofi didn't come to school today. Did he? Correct. Now let's come to the second statement. It says that Kofi didn't come to school today. Didn't he? Second principle. It says that when the verb used here in the statement is negative, the verb here should be positive. And when the verb used here is positive, the one here should be negative. And we all know that except for some verbs that are intrinsically negative, we usually add or attach the word not to make the negative. For all forms of the primary auxiliary verbs, whether primary or modal, this is what we're supposed to do. We add a not to make it negative. So this one is negative. So the one here should be what? Positive. So Kofi didn't come to school today. Did he? If this were to be Kofi did, positive, come to school today, then you would use what? Didn't. Didn't he? So that is it. Positive goes with negative, negative goes with positive. They are inversely related. There's an inverse relation between the verb used in the statement and then the verb used in the tag. That's all for that. The third one says, yes, he didn't, no, he did. I think someone is answering the question. Kofi didn't come to school today, did he? And someone answered, yes, he didn't. Yes, and didn't. No, he did. No, did. Yes is positive, didn't is negative. No is negative, did is positive. That is what makes this one wrong. Yes, he didn't. These are what we call the answer tag. It takes the answer, that is yes, plus a tag, like this, and then no, that is the answer and the tag. And then the simple principle is that when the answer is positive, the tag must also be positive. And when the answer is negative, the tag must also be what? Negative. So this one tends to what? Didn't. Then you cross this out. And then this becomes what? Positive, because of the omission of the not. And then this becomes negative with the addition of the not. Our fourth statement. It is high time that we live here. There are certain statements in English language, certain expressions. When we use them, the verb, they go with certain specific rules. For example, it is high time. Usually when we use it, the action verb or main verb that comes after it in the sentence immediately takes the simple past tense. It is high time that we left here. If you introduce the word that, mostly I hear people add it. Yes, it doesn't necessarily invalidate the statement, but the best way to write this statement is, it is high time we left here, without the that. So usually this is how it's supposed to be. There are other expressions that mean the same thing as it is high time. It is high time actually means that one has overstayed somewhere, or time is due for one to leave a particular place. Then you say it is high time we left here. And there are other expressions that can actually substitute this, and they are, it's time, and it is about time. They all mean the same thing. So it is high time we left here. It is time we left here. It is about time we left here. Sometimes an exception to this rule, and it says that when you want to leave the verb still as, leave, as in the base, then you must introduce the to and then the have. So it is high time we have to leave here. Because the word of the word to, then the leave is maintained as leave because of the it must be the infinitive if it is coming after the word to. In fact, the preposition to. So now let's look at statement number 5. It says, Turosung can reproduce or can produce the poem of head. The word of head here does not really exist. What exists is of his head, of her head, of their head, etc. But even with that, I don't think that is the sense this statement intends to carry. This statement intends to say that Turosun has been able to produce the poem without difficulty. Turosun has been able to produce the poem without actually referring to any document or any audio or video, right? Yes, so Turosun can produce the poem of, we say of hand, not of head, of hand. And the word of hand has substitutes. One is off the cuff. And there is another one, off the top of his head. Off the top of his head. So, off the top of one's head, off the cuff, and off hand all mean the same thing. And they indicate that one is able to do something or perform an activity without difficulty, without referring to any further documentation or video or whatever. So that is it. The sixth one. Numbo and Tuhosung were all still in school when they got married to one another. Numbo and Tuhosung, this is the subject of the sentence, and it contains two nouns. That is plural. So were going with this and in the past. Correct. The word all here as a pronoun emphasizing the number here. So we say this is an emphatic pronoun. It's inappropriately used. It should be both, because both goes with two people, all goes with more than two. So Numbo and Tuhosung were both still in school when they got married to one another. That's another thing here. Because the number here is 2, this must also be 2 in order to go with this. This is what we call a plural indefinite pronoun. It is a plural indefinite pronoun. And the number here is for 3 and not 2. So this should be each other to refer to two people. That is all that we have I have for you in today's lesson, Common Errors in English. If you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, TextCom English, please do subscribe. Hit the notifications button and then leave a comment or two for us to take it from there. You can also suggest areas in which you would want me to do videos on in the future, and then I will check that and see what I will be able to do about it. Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.